Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fairness on the town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. Soon may the wellerman come around.
It's a very breezy day with northwest winds in the 16 to 20 mile an hour range, gusting in the 30s. Normally on days this windy I would just stay ashore with my small boats, but I was feeling adventurous, so I decided to go to a protected cove and just experiment a little bit and see what the 12-foot skiff can do in high winds. Consulting my charts and the hourly wind speed and direction forecast, I managed to find just the right protected cove just south of Cravens Bay on Barkley Lake. I had to do some light four-wheeling to access the shoreline, and the bank was pretty steep, so I used rollers to move the skiff over the last 30 feet to the water. My rollers are just large boat fenders, and they seem to work very well so far. With wind speeds over 20 miles an hour, the main lake channel would undoubtedly be very rough and whitecapping. That's not really my kind of sailing in any boat, and wouldn't be at all safe to attempt in this small open skiff, or even my 15-foot. The wind was very gusty and shifty as I expected in this small cove, but the important thing was that the water was flat and there were plenty of places I could land in an emergency if I needed to. I wasn't going to get blown out to open water. This would be a relatively safe place to experiment in high winds and maybe even set a speed record for the 12-foot baby skiff. Aiming for the northern point at the mouth of the cove, I begin a broad-reaching speed run. When sailing back in a protected area like this, it's usually the case that the wind is coming in short bursts and also changing direction a lot. I was lucky enough on this run to catch a pretty good, sustained, high-speed burst of wind. Without a doubt, that was a speed record for this boat. That was fun. I noticed how much the bow picked up, which I thought was a little strange. Maybe she was just planing off like a power boat. I've reached the downwind extents that I can safely travel, so I decide to row up the northern shore of the cove westbound. The wind is really wailing, and you can see that despite this, I'm still able to keep the skiff moving forward fairly easily. I mean, I am working a little bit, but not as much as you might think. I sailed past this area last summer in my 15-foot skiff on the 30-mile Barkley trip, but I've never actually been afloat here and had a chance to explore. After rowing for several hundred meters into the wind, something caught my eye off to starboard. I had discovered this strange pocket of water hidden away in the hillside. I'm thinking this is definitely a man-made feature, possibly an old pond. That would be my best guess, but it's pretty unique. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this little cove here. I was just barely able to squeeze by some large limestone boulders at the entrance. Land between the lakes is filled with hidden surprises like this, but you do have to put in some work to find them. Had I not chanced to be at just the right viewing angle, I easily could have overlooked this place. Rowing a short distance further westward, the back of the creek was in full color. I was greeted by the familiar yellow wildflowers, budding willows, and clear blue water from recent heavy rainfall. Having completed my sightseeing for the day, it was time to get back to sailing. I would take a slow, meandering course back out towards the mouth of the cove, this time aiming for the southern point. Having more or less reached my destination, I turned upwind and was attempting to hold a reach along the shoreline here, but you can see I've essentially just ran out of water at this point, so I'm just kind of putting along. I go to bring the boat about by backwinding the main, and something goes very wrong. I hear the last sound you want to hear in a wooden boat, the splitting and cracking of wood, an unmistakable sound. It turned out the unusually breezy, gusty conditions had taken a toll on the skiff today. The 4 screws securing the mast stub to the keelson had let go and pulled out completely. Luckily, this was the only thing damaged, and it's not a difficult repair. It was immediately clear to me that the screws I used were way too short and didn't have near enough hold. When I built the skiff, I never conceived of sailing in anything like the conditions that I have been in. Clearly it was time to upgrade this part. I've since rebuilt the step using 2-inch stock and 3-inch screws driven in from the bottom into the step itself. Overall, it was a successful adventure. I was able to get a feel for probably the highest winds I've sailed in, and that's probably the best way to get a feel for it, just in short gusts. I saw some beautiful scenery, and yeah, something broke, but it broke just enough to let me know that it needed to be upgraded. If you want to see that goofy face one more time, here you go. This channel will continue to charge along under full sail, but at cumberlandrover.com I offer videos not available on this channel or anywhere else. The videos and articles are free. I don't run ads, but I do have a store offering some unique handmade products of my own design that I think will be of interest to sailors and outdoor enthusiasts.